Transmitting to you from Old Heart Radio.
Prepare to have your bones chilled and your hairs raised. It's the WacArnold's Brothers podcast.
Welcome home.
Just one. What you
So,
think?
so we're kind of starting off on a weird note here, but we're telling stories about tattoos, and you mentioned the pizza tattoo, and for some reason it just made me think of that really fucking awful part in Sleepover, a Summer Party Massacre 2.
Oh yeah.
The girls writing the song about like the pie in the sky.
Oh my god, dude! And like the thing is about that fucking scene too. You're like, I feel like either the character or the actress is really concentrating hard on this.
Yeah, because what were the lyrics again? It was like,
oh my god,
I want money, something like I want money, something. But what I want most is the pie in the sky. It's like, yeah, these are awesome lyrics.
Yeah, these are real winners, man. Oh my god.
Speaking of a real winner,
Ooh,
Jesus.
We got a juicy one for this episode.
What were you just gonna say though?
Blood beat. I don't know. It was something more about tattoos probably. We still have to get a ghost face tattoo together. That's got to be a culminating moment. Like I'm not gonna get one until I can get one with you. I think
that'd be dope. Yeah.
I promise you this, my WacArnold's brother.
That'd be dope. Yeah, we need to like figure something out. I hope that I think it was like a month or so ago where I sent the group chat to everybody. I really hope that we get together again, like we did last year.
Oh yeah.
But I also would be cool if, some weekend, like, if I just came over there and stayed for the weekend and we went and did that, that'd be dope.
Fuck yeah. Yeah, I mean, either way, we're gonna have to get together soon. But I do know, like, yeah, the reunion is like in the works. We're just trying to get some idea of when we can use the venue, so to speak, So that's kind of like the thing. But I know it's on JMO's mind. He's kind of working on it.
Okay.
But
looking forward to that.
I don't know if you've heard any of the under further review like weeds that we get in, but sometimes we've talked about how we have to stage a wrestling match this next one.
Oh my god. I'm down.
I was like, David's gonna be there, dude. You know it. I was like, I told everybody, I was like, I'll ref. I'll throw that out. I'll do that. But like, Jameson wants to team up with Gillespie again for their tag team.
Oh my god. Well, I still have that fake fucking belt that we used for like the cornhole. Yeah, like JMO and Luke could do like a tag team with someone, and then like maybe me and Dusty could have a heavyweight championship battle.
Dude, that would be the most epic. Like I want to referee that so bad. Like you versus Gil. What'll he pull? What'll happen?
Right. That'd be dope, actually. Oh my god.
Man. Throwing
choreograph some shit. Yeah. That'd be hilarious.
I'm fucking in. I'm like, oh my god. Okay, but potential future wrestling matches aside, we do have a weird fucking movie to talk about this episode, and man. Before
we get into it, I want to just kind of if anyone that's listening, and I'm pretty sure no one really, you probably either didn't notice or whatever the case may be, but there wasn't an episode that got posted last weekend. There was like a technical issue with the Chud episode, and we were potentially like going to have to re-record it, which would have been really unfortunate.
Yeah, that's why it was lucky. Like I had some time, and I was able to piece together that episode.
That's awesome.
And so that arrived just today, this morning.
Right. Yeah, I need to go listen to it.
But Yeah.
Is it like? Do you think it's like narcissistic that I like look forward to listening to our episodes?
Fuck no, dude. Like it's one of my favorite things to do is to like go back on these conversations. And I was actually thinking about that on my way home today. I was like, like one of the beautiful fucking things about what we're all doing, like, is that in the future, like we'll have a record of like these
True.
jokes and these things, to like reflect on. And I do like, I look forward to listening to them. I don't I never liked looking forward to listening to my Coffee and Contemplation though, when I was like really going hard on that pod, because that was literally just me talking.
I think that's one of my like favorite concepts or like episodes that you have though, because I think it would be cool just to have this outlet where you could just talk about random fucking shit at will, whether you wanted to do it on a frequent basis or once every couple months, just to have this episode where you're like, oh, I want to talk about baseball today, or oh, I want to talk about Legos, like, you know what I mean? I think it's cool.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm really working hard to like fit it back into my regimen, if you will.
What's the new one that just I noticed there's like a first episode for something to do?
That's one of the other hosts, Lucas. Him and his partner Kate.
Okay.
They did like this. It's a show that they're trying to pilot called Amateur's Note, where they sort of like kind of critique like something that could be rewritten, like the Eternals movie script. Like how it's just like, that movie was kind of like weird, and so it's like, what could they have done better?
I see. So it's like a spin-off of Amateur, or of Matinee Edition, but it's him and his girlfriend, and they sort of. That's actually a pretty cool concept. It is, because there's plenty of horror movies that you could sit there and be like, well, they could have done this, or.
Oh, exactly, man, and So I think it's neat. Like I hope people give that a listen, because they're totally. It's going to be, one of those, like all the shows, it's going to be, I don't try and put pressure on like getting them all going and, out every week. It's really remarkable that we can get anywhere from 1 to 3 out every week, which is fucking crazy. But, I think it's really cool and I encourage anybody who's involved or wants to be involved to like, just drop an idea, man, like see how we can post it, like you record it, we post it, kind of thing,
Yeah, that is cool. You know what else is cool?
What?
We're 5 episodes away from 50, and a month and a couple days away from a fucking year.
Dude, I know. I was thinking about that when April Fool's, just the other day with April Fool's Day, because I was like, because I couldn't help but think about how last year we completely missed April Fool's Day with our April Fool's Day episode. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And it's become like this weird theme where it's like every time there's a holiday, we do a holiday episode, but we do it like after the holiday.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, but that reminded me, I was just like, holy shit, man, like we are coming up. Like,
yeah, I think it's May 18th was the dentist. May 18th, 2021 was the dentist.
Yeah. Epic.
God, I love that. That's a classic. But today we're talking about a movie that I don't love. This movie is this is my second time watching it. I think I watched it maybe like 8 to 10 months ago, and it's fucking really hard to get through. It's in the same vein of Sledgehammer.
Oh, the name has been invoked.
Yeah, sorry. Where it's not as bad as that. But you can tell this movie was like,
it's fucking bad.
Low to no budget. Mm-hmm. There's they cut away from a lot of the kills because they probably didn't have all these resources for practical effects. Some of the acting is fucking awful, including the character that plays Kathy. Mm-hmm. And then later in the movie, there's like these 3 guys that are camping. There's just some really, really bad acting in this movie, and it's kind of hard to get through.
Yeah, it's like, it's definitely funny at parts because of how bad it is, but like it has such a slow momentum.
Yeah,
that you're right. It's just like hard to like.
I think
you
that
have to have some willpower to get through it. So I feel
because I think it's a really cool concept because there's some things that are like it's implied that there's like one scene where it's implied that the mother and the daughter both have like these they can read each other's minds, and there's like these powers that I think that the concept was actually really cool, and if they would have had a bigger budget or a bigger name attached, it could have actually been like a highly entertaining, like interesting movie. But it's to the detriment that it was the opposite, where it was just like, this director I've never heard of, randomly filmed in Wisconsin on 35 millimeter. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's I mean, it's I don't know. It's something. It's its own fucking thing. I think you're right. Where having like it's like Sledgehammer adjacent, where Sledgehammer was like really fucking slow and bad. That's like I think one of the, like, if not the worst movie we've done so far.
Totally. But again, that movie had some cool ideas. Like
it did.
Like the weird killer that like turns into a kid at one point, and like there's like some cool like concepts in it. But again, just like with this one, it just they missed the basket. You know what I mean?
But like Bloodbeat here, like it starts out. I mean, it kind of like. It starts out, following somebody who you later, learn their name and whatnot.
Oh, and real quick, right before we jump in, I do want to mention that kind of like how Die Hard is considered a Christmas movie, you could consider this. There's like a couple shots of a Christmas tree, and there's like someone with a present at one point. It's alluded to, it's technically a Christmas movie.
Yeah, exactly. They're like playing Monopoly by the Christmas tree in one scene.
Right. But yeah, continue with what you were saying.
Well, I was just like, we should have known the pace of this movie right up the gate, because the fucking openings like sequence is like, Gary, who you later find out his name, kind of creeping through the wood. Well, he's not creeping. He's just hunting. He's hunting with bow and arrow through the woods, and but it's like so slow. And there's like these like, I don't know, maybe they're trying to be artistic or something. These like, shots of like the bow getting taut, and as he's pulling it back, like really slow and stuff. And it's
it is really slow. Because at first it's just like. And the music's really weird in this movie too, because at some points it's like super loud. There's like one point where it's like super loud and you can barely hear what the person's saying, and then other times where it's like because it like opens with this like upbeat music, and it's just like you see these shots of like a guy's boots, and then he's like got camo on, and like you said, it doesn't like it just shows him pull an arrow back, and then you see him fucking like roll up to his house, and there's a fucking deer in the back of the truck that's dead. So
yeah, he bagged this deer, and it's like strange, like even from this first like introduction to the other character, the Kathy, it's like she's just like standing there, and then there's like this weird edit or moment where it's like I don't know, maybe the director like finally told her action or something, where she like asked this question really quick and then like runs on over, and you're just like, it's like so forced and weird, and you're just like, the fuck.
She is by far and away the worst part of this movie. Her facial expressions, her acting, it's just awful, dude. It's like, I don't care how low your butt, like some of those scenes, if I was a director, like I would not be happy with those scenes, and I would redo it, because her delivery, like she's, like you said, I don't know. It's
weird.
Bad.
Yeah, but I just love it. Yeah, he's like,
even what were you gonna say?
Oh, I was just like, it's just like I said, like that weird moment where he's just like, she's standing there, there's this weird blip, and then he's like all of a sudden like, oh honey, I got a deer, and then they have this like joyous like moment where like she runs up, and he like, there's this big old hug, and like, look at it in the truck and shit, and you're just like, what the fuck is going on right now, man?
Well, yeah, and then it's like talking about like the weirdness of her character, like continues into the next scene where or like, yeah, they hug, and then she mentions she has like a migraine, so they head inside to have coffee, and this is where they discuss like the kids are coming, and we also learn that they're dating. She's the mother of these two kids that are coming, and he mentioned something about wanting to announce that they're getting married, and she's like, well, I don't want to get married, like,
yeah,
I don't want to get married.
Yeah, it's like alluded to that she was like married before in this scene or something like that. Like, I don't want to get married again, and which is interesting. It made me think, like, not to get too deep into blood beat. I don't think they're working too hard on that, but it's like there is like trepidation for some people where it's like, I don't want to jump right back into that,
Totally.
But
it's never
like,
followed up on or explained. Yeah.
No. And even though like the scene ends with like Gary kind of like walking out a little frustrated,
storming out. Yeah.
Like you still get this sense that like, I don't know, like there's some understanding there, which is kind of interesting, Yeah. It doesn't seem like they have a bad relationship.
Well, because he probably loves her, you know what I mean? And he's just, I think that would be like, there's situations like that in real life where the person who's wanting to get married and the other one is hesitant about it. They're just hoping that there's a day where the person, comes around and wants to do it because they still love them, even if they're not ready to, get married. But yeah, we are thinking too deep into it.
Case in point, man, that's exactly my life. So, like where I'm engaged now, but like Nadine was married before and was,
gotcha.
Really kind of like
when you guys are still like, I guess I haven't asked you that question. Like, when are you guys thinking you guys are gonna?
We were gonna originally try and do it this year, but to be honest, we're gonna push it to next Halloween season.
Holy shit! Okay.
So Halloween, yeah, because we really want to have like a good time. Like we want to kind of like plan it properly and stuff.
Okay.
And we just don't really want to like, I don't know, we've been together for, this will be, I think, year 7.
Yeah, I guess there's really like no need to rush it per se.
Yeah, so it's more or less for us. It's more or less this like, I don't know, final, like it's a celebration of like, us being together and event and being able to speak for each other at the hospital, I guess, or something.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's like you guys are like, for all intents and purposes, like already married. So
yeah, we'd be common law married if Washington had that, but Washington State doesn't have that. So
gotcha.
One of them things. Anyway, definitely. We're not as me and my fiance are definitely not like Gary and Kathy. Like they're a lot like, they're just fucking weirder than us. I just want to say that.
Yeah.
We're not like them. They're not like us. Because the next scene, I want to point out, there's nothing wrong with hunting, and there's nothing wrong with gutting your fucking deer while it's hanging against a tree like Gary does. But my beef is like Gary just, when the car full of kids pulls up in this next scene, he just grabs a handful of leaves and like uses them like a towel and like wipes his hands and then like goes in for hugs and handshakes.
I didn't even notice that. Oh my God.
Like, this motherfucker right here.
That's hilarious. I didn't notice that. Cause yeah, we have a car roll up that has Ted, his girlfriend Sarah, who are coming back from college, and then also Ted's little sister Dolly, who are all, it's safe to assume they're home for Christmas break. But yeah, I didn't notice that. That's hilarious.
Yeah, I was like, oh, gross, dude. But yeah, definitely they're home. They're not home for fall break. This is again Christmas.
Fall break? Oh my God. We can't escape it. We're going on a fall break. Shout out to the Mutilator, baby. It's a classic.
Boy. Yeah, boy.
And then we get this really bizarre scene where Kathy and Sarah meet for the first time, and there's like, they play this like weird music, and they have this stare off, and just like, not to use the word bizarre for the second time in a minute, but it is, it's really this just like offsetting scene.
Yeah, it's strange. And like, during this kind of sort of meeting scene, the kids are like walking up to the house and all this shit. Like Sarah has this other moment where she like stares at the like
The deer.
also, and it's like zooms in on the deer, and she's all like, I don't know, she has weird eyes on it. But like, so clearly it's like they're trying to paint the picture that this Sarah's out of her element here, but
yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Anyway, everybody's inside. They kind of go look at the tree, and they're gathering in the fucking living room. Gary goes to put on some fucking music and all that.
Yeah, we learned that Kathy is a painter. She has like all these paintings around, and then Ted goes upstairs and sets Sarah up with her room, and she has.
I just love when Ted's showing the paintings or talking about them. He's like, yeah, this one's mom's, this one's mom's. Then there's this one in a frame that's very clearly not. He's like, that one's not. It's like this like store-bought one or whatever. You're just like, well, fucking hell yeah. I was like, obviously, Ted, shut up. Anyway, yeah, you're right. They go upstairs and they kind of like, he's like showing her like the old guest room or whatever it is.
Yeah, he like makes. I forget she has this like. I don't remember what it is, but I wrote down weird vision because she has this like. It's like real quick. I forget because there's some that happened later, but she just like looks at something in the room and it like. I think it uses like a filter and she has a weird vision. But yeah, he makes the bed for her, and then.
Dude, he immediately tries to like get
oh yeah
some action. Like he like makes the bed and then like, yeah, dude, it's so weird. Like there's so much that happens in like so like.
Oh, and there's this funny while they're making the bed, Ted has this funny like monologue where he's rambling about Dolly and how she told her mom that she's dropping out of school, and he's like, doggone Sarah picked the doggone wrong time to tell mom about doggone. He uses the term doggone like 2 or 3 times in this little like, but yeah, and then like you said, dude, he tries to get busy with her like right off the bat, and she's like mentioning how it's like his mom's in the room with them, and how it's like she's reading her mind and all this weird shit.
Yeah, it's so strange, and there's like this weird music going on, and it was like one like you have all the weirdness of like what she's saying, but then I kept thinking, I was like, Ted, no woman wants to be brought to your fucking parents' house and then like 15 minutes into it be like, yeah, let's get busy in my fucking like old bedroom or whatever it is.
No shit.
You know what I mean? Like,
no shit.
Like that's not like, you got to give it some time, dude. I mean, but yeah, like it's weird. There's like a flash of like a statue in this scene and stuff like that. I think you see again later and all that, but it's like,
yeah, you do. Yeah.
It's and
it's just
also
bizarre.
There are like it does kind of cut to like one point where you see Kathy like in her studio working on a painting.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to be honest. Yeah, Ted's a little creep in this scene because he kind of just like he tries really hard to get it in. We'll say, but you kind of like end up following up with some other characters, kind of drifting out of this scene.
Yeah, because we the next character that we kind of get introduced to is Uncle Pete, who just like we have this quick scene where Dolly is telling Gary about someone named the Red Baron's coming, and then we see Uncle Pete roll up in a red truck, and the next thing we know, on horseback, we have Uncle Pete, Gary, Dolly, Ted, and Sarah all going out on horseback to go hunting, and it's like, what the fuck? Like, where the fuck were all these horses at?
I know. They just had them out in the house, It's so fucking funny. Like the sequences of them riding.
Yeah,
like with the like all armed, their bows and arrows. It's just like,
somehow I think like 2 of them have guns and 2 of them have a bow and arrow, and Sarah doesn't have anything. We learn shortly that she doesn't like hunting, but yeah, it's just weird, super weird.
It's so fun, yeah. And
but
like you're right. Like we learn kind of quickly. I would say like that Sarah kind of has like this aversion to what's going on. It's also like. It's you could tell it's sort of like she was just thrown into this. Like nobody's really like checking if she can use a weapon or anything.
Yeah.
So it's sort of understandable at this point.
Like you said, okay, I kind of get what you're saying now. earlier where you mentioned like she is out of her element. You know what I mean? Because it's obvious that, you know, Gary and Uncle Pete have probably been hunting for their whole lives, and that's how Ted and Dolly grew up. And, you know, I think that if you grow up around hunting, that you're gonna, you know, enjoy it. Where I was someone that didn't grow up around it, and when I was older, like I tried it. Like I never went hunting for animals. Like I went skeet shooting, but I'm just saying it's not for everybody.
Yeah. It's just sort of funny because like in this sequence, you know, like where they you know, get geared up, they get off their horses, they crawl underneath a fence and start like rummaging around in some wood, and like, yeah, I don't know, it's just funny that like the whole family's just sort of like we're doing this, we're dropping it, we're doing it right now, you come along. Like anyway, so as they're going, you know, they're obviously trying to find a deer to something. I mean, I don't know if
what I think is funny about this whole scene though is like it shows one deer, and it shows like I mentioned, 2 of them have bows and 2 of them have guns, and they're all kind of like have their gun ready or their bow drawn back. It's like, are they like, is there any communication here? Like, who's gonna take the shot on the deer? You know what I mean? Like, are they all just gonna fire away at willy-nilly trying to get the same deer?
That's what I kept thinking. I was like, they're just gonna fucking mutilate this thing if they all just you know what I mean? Like, Jesus. But yeah, it's actually kind of, they did, for the quality of this film in general, they captured some cool like shots of the deer running, like a bit. And you know, I can't speak, it seems like it was for this movie, so
yeah,
you know, I think it's original. But yeah, it's interesting because, like, you know, as you get these like tense moments where, you know, it's cut with like the deer's running, and then it's cut with like, you know, shots of people, like you said, kind of cocking their guns and like getting their bows ready. And then, you know, you also see these shots of like Sarah, who's starting to like almost like hyperventilate at a moment, and then you have this fucking wild edit cut where she just like yells or whatever, like right as they're about to shoot, and it just flashes to like a negative of the shot or something, like it's saturated with like green and red, and you're just like, what the fuck just happened?
It happens a few more times with other colors.
Yeah, dude.
Later in the movie, but yeah.
It was just caught
it's
me
hilarious,
off guard so fucking bad. I was like, I laughed so hard.
She just fucking freaks out and starts running, like ruining it for everybody else. And, you know, Ted ends up chasing her, and they all end up chasing her. And then we get this like kind of, it's like very disorienting, all these shots, because it's showing her running, it's showing Ted running, and then it's showing this like other random person who's just like stumbling through the woods. Yeah. And then her and this random guy that I mentioned going through the woods, him and Sarah just like collide in this head-on collision. And you notice that somehow it's never explained, but this guy, his stomach is just like gashed open, and he's bleeding everywhere, and you know he's dead by the time the rest of the group get there. Yeah, it's and like you said, like they literally collide, and that's when you have another one of these wild like color flashes, and you know, like the wound that you end up seeing on this guy kind of does look cool. Like you don't get a ton of like gory wounds and shit out of this movie. Yeah, barely at all. But that was a cool, like I thought that was a cool like little makeup job. But it at least looked real, you know what I mean? But like it's wild, like, you know, she like at one point, you know, the dude just like falls down on the ground, and like he even like blood smeared hand like reaches up and like touches her face and gets his blood all over, you know, her chin and shit. And then I mean eventually everybody catches up, and then, you know, it cuts to a scene where Gary's like interacting with a paramedic and explaining that nobody knows this guy. I love it. Yeah, he's just like, we've never seen him before, and the cops are essentially just like, all right, well, See you later.
Yeah, they're like,
Merry Christmas.
Like, yeah. Gary's like, well, we shot twice in the opposite direction, so it wasn't us.
They're like, this is an open and shut case.
Yeah.
Like,
well, close the books here. We're done here.
it's ridiculous. There's just, oh my God.
It's so great.
Yeah, they like I said, they're just like, all right, Gary, Merry Christmas, and then they just fucking pile out and leave.
Yeah, and you know, so from there you kind of follow up with Ted and Sarah, who were right. It shows like Sarah is kind of in bed, you know, all like had just obviously a fucking wild day.
Yeah.
You know, and Ted's there, like, you know, checking on her, trying to mac on her again, sort of like.
Well, he's like, you know, they're kind of like cuddling, and he kind of mentions her, you know, tomorrow's a new day, and to go to sleep, and he kind of tucks her in.
Yeah. But she does this weird thing though. She asks him to take the pictures, his mom's pictures out of the room. Yeah. And like, again, you're like, what is the issue? You know, what's going on? Like, because, you know, this directly goes to Ted, like going to talk to his mom in her studio, and that's a really fucking weird interaction.
Yeah, because she basically just like, he tries to talk to her about one thing, but she kind of just ignores him and redirects the conversation to talk about Gary. Yeah. And mentions that she loves Gary, but she loves her work and doesn't know if she can live with him anymore. And then she asks Ted how long has he known Sarah?
Mm-hmm. You know, he says something like, I think he says like 5 months or something like that. Yeah. And, you know, and Kathy is like, I feel like I know her, or like whatever. Yeah. Like,
tells him to be careful.
Yeah.
And that there's something strange about her. Yeah.
Yeah. It's so bizarre. It's like, because honestly, you're just like, it's, you know, the character of Sarah comes off as like so timid in a way that you're just like how, right? Why would you be threatened by her? You're
Ted even says, you know, like it could be deja vu, and Kathy's like, no, it's more than that. I know her. He claims. Yeah. So yeah, and then we see Sarah sleeping, and then, you know, you mentioned earlier, Ted and Dolly are playing a rousing game of Monopoly.
I will say this, my roommate called it. She said that this is probably one of the most accurate representations of a cat in this scene, because they're trying to play Monopoly, and there's a cat just plopped down right in the middle of the Monopoly board. Yeah, it is pretty good. Yeah, it's like, that's fucking hilarious. I don't know if it was intentional or not, but I was just like, I thought that was just a great shot. Yeah. We see what was I going to say? And then so they're playing Monopoly, and, you know, Sarah kind of wakes up. We see Kathy, as Sarah's waking up, we see Kathy, who's painting, and her hand starts twitching. Yeah. And Sarah opens up this trunk that wasn't there before, and inside the trunk is a set of samurai armor and a sword. It's really, really fucking weird. It is so fucking random. Like, I cannot get past that. Like, the idea that this all of this culminates in what it does, which we'll talk about, but like, the introduction of like this random samurai suit of armor and blade, you're just like, what the fuck, dude? They're in Wisconsin, they just got done hunting for the day, and this mystical armor appears.
Jesus Christ.
I just fucking love it. I love the idea of it. But yeah, you're like, so yeah, obviously Sarah is like, you know, starts digging around in the box and pulling out the armor, and it's cool looking gear, I gotta be honest.
Totally, of course.
Oh, sorry.
It is cool looking.
And this is all like intermixed with these like shots of Kathy like going to town on that painting that she starting, and it's like just like almost like blood red color that she's just.
It's almost like she's in a trance. There's also just like a really quick scene where the Uncle Pete character comes up and tells her he's going to town and he'll be back in an hour. But so Kathy's in this trance painting. Kathy is in this trance, kind of just like you said, wildly painting, and then Sarah ends up like unsheathing the sword.
Yeah.
She cuts her finger on the blade and like makes a noise. She like falls over, and Ted hears the noise and goes to check on her. And Kathy goes with them. When they get to the room, she's on the floor. They wake her up. She tells them about the trunk, and they kind of tell her, there's no trunk in this house.
Yeah. She's like, I cut my finger on the sword, and they're just like, what sword? Like, they kind of like, I wouldn't call it. It's not like they're gaslighting her, but they're basically like, we've never seen we don't have a trunk with the fucking samurai armor and sword in here, so you must have been having a nightmare, type of deal. Exactly. It's weird because you're just sort of like, okay, was this a fucking dream? Was this like whatever?
Well,
but then there's this what's up with the next sequence where it's like.
Yeah, Sarah mentions she doesn't want to be alone. And then, there's some just... like you said, this next scene is so weird. Because, like, Kathy's walking down the stairs. She looks at a painting, and then there's just this, like, weird flashback of a child holding a samurai sword and blood on her hand. And then it shows... It's weird. And then it shows shots of Kathy painting, and then it shows shots of a child painting too, and you're just like, what the fuck? Because even at the end of the movie, with what ends up happening, which we'll talk about, it never fucking ever explains anything, never explains any of this. It's almost like they tried to have this really cool like artistic vision and then forgot about that shit by the time they got to the end of the movie. I don't know.
No, I feel you, dude. Like it's strange. You're like, what are they trying to tell me? And then you just you never get an answer.
Yeah. It's really weird because the next thing we know, Gary comes in to
he's all
Kathy's
angry almost.
Yeah, you can tell he's kind of angry. He asks her what the hell is going on, and she mentions she can't tell him. Then he gets really angry and gets in her face and goes on this spiel about, how he's a man and he needs attention and affection, and how over the past 5 months, so he's done everything he can for her, and how all she does is paint and talk about visions, and he's fed up with it.
Yeah, it's...
Oh, and then he has this, sorry to cut you off. He has this hilarious fucking line where he goes, even the good old boys get fed up.
Yeah. I was like, what the fuck does that mean, dude? Even the good old boys get fed up. Kathy. Like, what the fuck, dude? It's so weird, man.
Oh my God, it's great.
Gary's trying really hard to like show, he's like pulling anything out. He's like, I'm real angry right now. Don't forget about the good old boys.
Right. But long story short, he just leaves. He eventually leaves.
He goes out to the living room right after that, where the kids are like still there trying to play Monopoly, and just like goes
Sarah's,
and watches some TV or whatever. He like has his headphones.
Yeah, I've this movie was made in
88.
80. So no, it was actually filmed in 82 and released in 83. I know I encountered the same thing because on Shudder it says 88, but it came out in 83.
That's bizarre. I did not know that.
I never knew that there was because it's like a small little TV, but I never knew that there was TVs that you could just plug a fucking headset into and listen to it like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I was like, that's fucking nice. Like,
I don't even think there's that technology exists today. I don't know. It's weird. But yeah, he kind of just, well, anyway, we don't need to go too far into that, but Sarah, so they're still playing Monopoly. He pops in some headphones to watch TV. Sarah's reading a book, it looks like.
yeah.
Kathy enters the room. She kind of sits down on the couch next to Sarah and starts reading a magazine too. And Dolly, asks her mom where Uncle Pete is, and this is where we kind of follow up with Uncle Pete here.
Yeah, it's like, it's interesting. Like right before it cuts to the follow up with Uncle Pete, there's this moment where like Kathy is just like turned and like looking at Sarah. Not and like not breaking her gaze, and Sarah then like looks like she starts getting a headache or something. She's like, it's super strange because like you've said, like there's like these weird traces of like moments where they like allude to these like potential like I don't know powers or something.
Right.
But anyway, yeah, we follow up with Uncle Pete, the Red Baron, who's out.
His car is just like. Looks like it's like crashed on the side of the road, kind of like on an incline, like a slight like little like incline of some sort or something maybe. And yeah, his looks like his Trek is wrecked, and his check is wrecked. His truck his truck is wrecked. His truck is wrecked and it's stuck. And he's kind of trying to figure out what's wrong with it. At one point, it looks like he gets underneath like the wheel well. But you kind of start hearing this like heavy breathing because there's a lot of shots where it's like a POV shot, you just hear this, you hear this figure breathing and it gets closer and closer to Pete. And, this first kill, like a lot of the kills, to be frankly honest, are really, really, really fucking lackluster.
Yes, that is the word I was just about to use too, man. Like it you have this moment where it shows him, he turns around, he like acknowledges that there's something behind him or whatever, and then it just cuts away for a second, and then it cuts back to like him on the ground. Like,
with his throat slashed, yeah.
And you're just like, okay.
Because it doesn't give you any real like close-up shot of any kill, because even the scene later with these like three guys camping, like we'll get into that later, but it never really fully shows like a kill. Like it'll, like you said, it'll do like a weird cut and then it'll come back and it'll show you the aftermath. And that's probably because, like I said, because of the budget or whatever the case may be, or they didn't have anyone trained to do these like stunts. But just cut. Like you said, it just shows, just next thing we know, Uncle Pete is lying on the ground with his throat slashed. So he's dead.
Yeah. And then it kind of turns back to Sarah, who seems like she's all of a sudden not feeling well and gets up and leaves the living room. Yeah,
she's like visibly distraught, rubbing her face, like you mentioned.
Yeah, and it's like it kind of leads you to believe like, what's this? Is there like some sort of further connection here? Like, what's going on?
Right. And she goes back to bed.
Yeah, she goes back to bed, and like every time, well, not every time, but a lot of the times when she's in the room, like the way the setting looks is different. It's kind of like fuzzy. It's like blue lighting almost. Like I don't know. It's like it's like indicative of like that weird dream state that she was maybe in earlier.
Yeah. Okay. I never noticed that because later in the movie, like there's lots of the blue. But yeah, I guess you're right. That's a good point. Yeah.
And yeah, so like you said, like she just kind of like she gets back in bed, and that's
then
when
you
get introduced to a couple new characters.
Yeah, they say the wife's name. Well, okay, no, they don't, because he just refers to her as Chris. But we get introduced to these people who we're led to believe. Well, they are. They're like they're nearby neighbors of some form, however far away they live. This older couple named Paul and Christy.
Yeah, and he's laying in bed. You know, it looks like they have a water bed.
They
I want to point
have
out.
They have a waterbed. Yeah.
Classy, obviously.
Yeah, real quick. When was the last? I remember like growing up. At one point, you know, waterbeds were really cool. My sister wanted a waterbed, and she ended up getting a waterbed at one point. When was the last time you saw a waterbed?
Shit, dude, it has been a fucking while. I honestly I never thought waterbeds were all that comfortable. Like, do you think waterbeds are comfortable?
I couldn't really recall, man. Like I said, I was probably like 8 or 9. I just remember I would just always jump on it, you know, like they do in movies where they jump up and like land back on the bed and it would just like rumble around. But I don't remember.
The only one I feel like I remember off the top of my head is like an old babysitter of mine and my brother's when we were young. Like her and her husband had like a waterbed, and yeah, I think I remember getting yelled at for like trying to jump on it once. Like, but yeah. Anyway, so
anyways,
these two have a waterbed. He asks for a cup of tea, and
he's kind of a dick about it too. He's like, aren't you gonna go make me that tea or whatever? I forget how he like words it, but
yeah. This dude looks like, honestly, a disheveled Ron Swanson.
Okay. Yeah,
Parks and Rec.
He does kind of have that kind of mustache.
Yeah, and he sort of has like a similar face. But anyway, so he's just like laying on the bed, like petting the dog and like reading the paper.
Well, at first the dog's not there because he tells her to go make the tea, and then he also says, and let the dog's outside, like let the dog in while you're at it. So
yeah,
she obliges. She lets the dog in.
Yeah, and so eventually the dog's on the bed and he's stroking it like a fucking villain.
Yeah,
and you start to get these weird cuts, like where it starts cutting away from their scene and going into like checking in on what Sarah.
Yeah.
And it's like Sarah's like in bed. Kind of like I mean I feel like it's purposeful, like, you know, like the sort of exposed with her sheets, sort of not, and sort of just like I don't know, like kind of convulsing in bed.
Seems like she's like it cuts away to that multiple times where it seems like she's like writhing in agony, or at one point like it's even like her back is like arching like she's in pain. It's really bizarre.
It's like so strange because you're just sort of like, okay, what the fuck, and you know, I think then whatever his fucking face is,
she gets back with the tea, and then he's like, well, where's my orange juice? He's like all fucking pissed about this fucking orange juice that he didn't ask her about.
Yeah. And so it shows Christy or whatever going or in the kitchen, and I don't know if this is what the orange juice is or not, but she's
like a powder,
mixing some sort of like powder, like fucking Tang, into like a cup and just like whipping it up, and you know, then she like, you know, you get this again sort of like a POV shot where it's like, you know, somebody's behind her, or you're supposed to allude to it.
You hear the heavy breathing.
Yeah, that's right. It's like some Darth Vader-esque fucking heavy breathing. Like,
yeah.
And then she like turns around, gets spooked, and fucking stabbed.
Yeah, and once again it like cuts away from the stab, and then you see her. It's like you see a blade like retract from her stomach.
Yeah, you don't get any full like action. The mystery continues, I guess, so to speak.
Right.
But then you do get a shot of her kind of bloodied and lying on the ground.
Right.
And then, you know, her hubby from the other room starts, you know, being like, "Hey, what's going on out there?"
Chris, what's going on, Chris? And
yeah.
Yeah, he This is another scene where I'm talking about, where the acting is just so fucking subpar. He walks out. He obviously stumbles upon her dead body. It takes him like 2 or 3 seconds, and he's just like, "Oh my God." Like literally, like that's how he says it. And he's like,
"Oh my God."
And he bends.
I'm sorry, that was just so good.
It's awful, dude. I'm not doing it like it's bad.
It's so
There's just like no sympathy or like shock, like or anything behind the line. Like
it was just like action. Say the line.
yeah, like I think I've mentioned this before because me and my stepbrother Travis, like we made like 6 or 7 of them, like home movies. It was a series of movies called Silent David, where I would always play this killer, and our acting and our stuff in that was like better sometimes than this. But anyway, so he kind of like hunches over to look at her dead body, and that's when we hear the breathing again. He turns around and is startled by what he sees and runs off. We get this slight chase, and then it ends up where it's like in this hallway, and there's like very little lighting. You can't really see what's going on, and out of nowhere, you just see Paul it's glorious too. He just gets flung through this fucking window.
It's so good, dude. Like, 'cause you're right. Like, you can't really see shit in this scene. You see like flashes of his like red like plaid robe, and then next just like flying through this window.
It's like the one stunt in the movie, and it's pretty good.
All right, guys, we got a budget for one stunt.
One stunt.
What are we gonna do?
Yeah. I thought that was gonna be like, because the other kills were really lame, and his kill does end up being pretty lame. But I thought that was gonna be his death. But to my surprise, he gets up, he starts running, he makes his way through like a barn like structure, and the lights end up like just turning off on him. He makes his way into a van, and he drives to a nearby gas station to see if anyone's there to get help. And this is where we kind of learn that, because we haven't seen the killer yet, we don't know who the killer is or what the killer is, but you learn that this killer has some kind of form of powers, because the killer's just like magically there.
Exactly. Like it. You don't know exactly how, but like it's another. It turns into like another, again, sort of that like that point of view, like killer. It's weird. You can tell they used like a spotlight to like get the lighting on this scene, because like the killer like chases him back to his van or whatever.
Yeah.
Right. And all you see is on here is like. And like, stuff like that as he's like chasing them back. And again, I want to point out, this is all like cut with like more shots of Sarah writhing around,
Totally.
So after the gas station, where does he take off to?
He just like driving down the road, and out of nowhere, his van just like dies. So he hops out of the van, and then we cut back to the house, and instead of another shot of Sarah in agony in bed, we see Kathy, who now she starts like shaking and acting weird. And Ted and Dolly pop up from their game to console her, and then we hop back to Paul, who starts running now. Then we get another couple shots of Sarah, Paul, and then so Paul like makes his way to Kathy and Gary's house. This is when we finally see like a partial shot of the killer, because Paul's kind of making his way closer to the house, and in the shadow by a tree, we see in the full samurai suit, the samurai pull back a bow, and Gary gets fucking shot in the back with the bow. He screams, alerting everyone in the house.
It was like that was cool. Gary, like, and then and they all. They all kind of go and check out where the sound is, and you get this excellent shot of his head like bloodied and like sitting there, and
it's probably the best shot of because it looks like his head might have like made its way through like a small glass window, but that is the best shot, because it's just like this look of how he died, this look of pain and shock on his face, and there's just blood everywhere. Probably one of the better shots of the movie. And then we kind of get a pretty cool, probably one of the cooler, like longer segments of the movie. But as they see his dead body, like randomly in the house, this fireplace like comes crackling to life.
Oh yeah, this seems fucking wild.
Yeah, Dolly like screams and runs off frightened, and then it seems like there's like poltergeist activity.
Yeah.
Happening in the house because things start shaking, doors start swinging shut. Gary gets like locked in the kitchen. You see windows rising up and down.
It's cool, man. It's a genuinely cool sequence because like, you know, eventually things like even from like the shelves start, you know, getting pulled off and start flying around, you know, but you have like, you know, these moments where there's that moment where like Gary's hand, like, why did his hand flash red and then all of a sudden getting like he looked like he's in pain?
Yeah,
you know?
And then the phone bursts into flames. Yeah.
The phone like that was wild. It was like, just like all of a sudden engulfed in flame, and you're just like, oh my god! And then like I said, like things are flying at Gary as like the lights are flickering on and off. You have my god, one of the best shots. This I don't know if this was like product placement or not.
Oh my god!
You have a shot of 2 cans, one of Tab, one of Pepsi flying. You have shots of like Nesquik flying. Like all these food objects start flying at Gary. He dodges 2 kitchen knives that fly at him. He dodges those, but then he gets knocked unconscious, like you said, by those flying cans of Pepsi and Tab. It's pretty hilarious, actually. Tab took him out, dude.
Took him down by the Tab. Then we see we follow up with Ted and Dolly, who are outside of Sarah's door, and this is where we get the first like the whole hallway is glowing blue. And it looks like Gary makes his way to the door, and it looks kind of like how some weird thing like zapped Gary's hand. It looks like something zaps Ted. He gets knocked down to the floor. He ends up like crawling next to Dolly. They're next to a window, and all of a sudden the samurai's hand and sword that are glowing blue like emerge from the window.
Yeah, dude, it's fucking it's wild. It's like
because what was cool about that is that because they're on like the second story, so this is where you really see that, you know, the kill. This point. I actually didn't think about that until right now, because
that is a good point, man.
So it's like whatever this thing is, it has some mysterious powers. But they end up coming downstairs. As they're making their way downstairs, Dolly sees like Gary's body and screams. They run into a closet, and they end up getting locked into this closet. Then we kind of see some shots of samurai outside, glowing blue. And then we get this cool, there's like the poltergeist activity is still going on at this point. And then Kathy kind of has this weird moment where she's in the living room.
Oh my God, dude, going like the whole answer me thing.
Yeah,
dude. She's like, because like earlier, you know, one of the last times we saw Kathy, she was like convulsing and stuff. And this seems to be like, you know, she's like standing up in the living room, like convulsing and like being like, you know, saying, answer me. Like
she's like what do you want?
Yeah.
Who she's
are
like,
you?
What do you want with us and all this? Answer me. Yeah,
and like that was the thing. Like, you know, you get these like you said, like these like shots of like us, like the armor moving around a bit, the static TV going crazy. There's a cat in the room.
There's also like, it goes back to Ted and Dolly, who she also says some other stuff. She's like, get out of here and leave us alone. So and we see those outside, the still glowing blue samurai. He draws his sword, but then inside, Ted and Dolly are in the closet, and this blade starts to pop through the door.
Dude.
So there is some cool stuff in this movie.
I guess we gotta give him credit. Like some of this stuff in the tail, in this like the, you know, the end, like the whole end direction of this movie, like it kind of looks kind of cool. Like because, you know, like you said, like this whole sequence, you know, where the blade comes popping through the door. You know, like it cuts to Kathy again. She's like, she has some sort of fucking thing going on where she's
Yeah.
Her hands are like glowing and like red and bluish, mostly red, but it's like,
Yeah. She's
I
like,
don't
get
know.
out of here.
Yeah, dude, it's like, it's fucking wild. Like, oh my god, like all of a sudden Kathy has some powers. There's this like weird electronic samurai, like,
Yeah, because
Kathy,
Kathy's hands start glowing, like we mentioned. We get a shot of like outside of the house where the house is glowing blue, and then it kind of glows some other colors, and then the poltergeist activity finally ceases. Then we see like all the damage that was done in the kitchen. We see the remnants of the burnt phone. The closet door finally pops open too.
They go on and find Ted and Kathy and all, and find Gary.
Right, who's
kind of bloodied up a bit, but
yeah, he's not dead though. I thought he was going to be dead. I thought that he got killed by a bottle of Tab. But
I really did too, though, dude. I just kept getting past it. I was thinking about it all day today. I was like, that motherfucker got killed by Tab, dude. What the fuck? Nah, Gary got lucky. He got.
Yeah, he's still alive. But he's questioning, him and Ted are questioning what happened. And Kathy, they're kind of like, what happened? And Kathy's like, oh, you guys wouldn't understand. And Ted begs her to tell them what's going on. And all she really meant, she just kind of like in this weird state still. And she just mentions something about how he would never take me away from you and never take you and Dolly away from me. And again, the acting is fucking horrible.
Oh my god,
she is it's awful, bro.
It is abysmal, man. Like that person must have had like a connection to whoever was like making this movie, and they were just like, "Okay, you can do the role, whatever."
It baffles me. Like, it's bad.
Yeah. And then it cuts. Yeah, exactly. It just leaves you.
Yeah. And then Ted also repeats this line where he says it like 3 times in a row. Where he's like, Mama, you don't mean, Mama, yeah. Mama, you don't mean, and it never follows up on what she means. It's just another, because it's another instance again. Yeah.
It just cuts away from him saying that to like, Gary and bandaged up in bed and like Kathy checking on him or whatever. And
yeah.
So you're just like, what the fuck, dude? Like,
we get something interesting though in this scene with Gary, and then in the next scene with Dolly, because like you mentioned, Gary's in bed. It looks like they bandaged up his wounds or whatever. And Kathy, kind of puts her hand on his forehead and seems to like lull him to sleep.
Yeah.
It's pretty interesting. And then she goes in to do the same thing with Dolly, because Ted's consoling Dolly. And then Kathy comes in and does the same thing. Where she mentioned she loves her. She puts her hand on her forehead and she like instantly falls asleep too.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know, man. It's, again, like after seeing like the thing with Kathy earlier where it's like, glowing hands and stuff, and she seems to maybe repel the thing that the samurai wore whatever.
Right.
You're just like, okay, so now she's like, I don't know, does she have like telepathic powers? What's going on here? Like, why is she's like Xavier shutting the minds down, like, or
something.
Yeah.
That part was pretty cool though. Yeah.
It was. And then you follow up with Ted, right?
Yeah, he goes up to the room where Sarah's sleeping. He takes his clothes off and hops into bed too. Then we get some shots of the outdoors, some shots of leaves and trees, and we get some more heavy breathing and the blue filter, and we see that there's like 3 men that are out by a fire in the middle of the woods. One's playing a harmonica.
Yeah.
And we see from the point of view again of the heavy breathing and someone getting closer to the fire. And while that's going on, we see Ted and Sarah.
Something else is going on too.
Oh wow! They start out by kissing, but ultimately it leads to Sarah mounting him, and they start fucking.
Yeah, dude, they start bucking wild. Oh god, dude. But
Wow.
you know, like you say, so like there's like this thing happening in the woods where it's like obviously there's these campers. One guy seems to like approach the campsite out of the darkness, and he's sort of like stumbling, right?
No, there's three of them. One of them's playing the harmonica, and what you see it's like a 30 bottle of beer, and one of them mentions to the guy playing harmonica something about your harmonica makes me want to take a piss.
That's
So-
it. He wanders away from to go take a
Yeah.
piss. That's it.
He wanders away to take a piss, and while he's taking this piss, the glowing blue samurai comes up and kind of slices him a couple times. He ends up stumbling back to the other two and falling down dead. And this is where I'm saying, but there's another case of awful fucking acting, because it's not the guy playing the harmonica. It's the other guy in the scene that's wearing the beanie. He doesn't speak a line. He doesn't do anything. But his expressions, it just seems like he couldn't be bothered. Like they were literally just.
He was blank. Like
Yeah.
it was like duh.
It's like, who the fuck did they just randomly find this person on the side of the road? Because there's just no emotion. It's awful.
Yeah.
But what's funny is that their buddy stumbles down dead. They see the samurai. So the guy wearing the beanie, he jumps up and grabs like a flaming piece of wood.
Yeah. Starts swinging it like get back. Oh my god.
But yeah,
it's
so
ridiculous.
long
again,
story yeah.
This is all intercut with those shots of the other two fucking. So there's like there's like this weird tie where you're just sort of like, okay, what does this have to do with this?
Right,
You know what I mean? Like,
because as a person's getting killed, it cuts to the scene of them, and it would be Sarah like, you know?
Exactly, dude. It's like it cuts to her like and you know, like it's just so random and anyway, so you get the vibe that
There's some kind of link or something.
yeah. And we were talking about the one dumbass looking camper with the beanie, like swinging the fucking flaming stick, but like nothing good comes from their effort, because the blow and glue samurai, like ends up, you just get shots, like you said, like them getting stabbed and shit, and like
I'm gonna use the word
toast.
Yeah, I'm gonna use the word here in a second, because the first one jumps up and tries it, and for some reason, since he was so successful and got killed, the second one tries to do the same thing. And these kills are really lackluster, because you don't really see anything. You just see a shot in a second of the samurai, his hand like going up and down 3 times, like he's stabbing someone. So it's really poor, in really poor fashion. These guys get dispatched by the one per episode.
Yeah, it's true though, man. Like it's
bad.
It's like they're just thrown away. Like, they're done. But you don't get any real juicy like kill moments.
No, there's none.
And
it's unfortunate.
Then it just sort of like transitions into like this morning time scene or whatever.
Yeah.
There's like a dog running in the field, and
it was the dog from the couple from earlier. Yeah, just
that makes
yeah, it's just like aimlessly wandering around a nearby cornfield.
Yeah.
But yeah, we
well, then like you get who's putting then you just get like the shot of like a body in a truck bed.
Yeah, it looks like Gary's putting Paul's dead body in the back of the truck. There's a sheet over it.
Yeah.
This is where the movie gets weird with this kind of scene, because it shows him like he's maybe going to take this body somewhere, but he looks under the hood of the truck won't start. He looks under the hood. He tells Kathy, the truck's screwed up, I'm gonna have to take the horse. And then it shows him like, and hop on the horse, and then we're gonna talk about the next scene that happens in a second, but throughout the next scene that happened, we also get more shots of Gary riding with this horse. It doesn't show where he goes or what he's doing until he randomly comes back and then meets back up with Ted and Dolly. But it's like, what was the point? Like, where the fuck did he go on the horse?
Yeah. Like, are they just alluding to the fact that Gary just dropped this body off in the woods somewhere? Like,
well, but he never. Well, maybe, but it never shows him take the body with him. So I'm just like super confused. It's like, what was he doing? Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm stressing out about it too much. It doesn't matter because
he's just like, yeah. Well, it's true though. Like, and that's the thing that some of this movie leaves you with is like, you don't fucking know these characters that they're introducing you to, and you don't get to know them very well in this movie. So it gives you this vibe of like, what is the intention? Is this just like a household full of weird people with like quasi superpowers or something like that?
Right,
like,
right.
Or is Gary included in that, or is he like, I don't know, is he just going to
the outsider?
What,
right.
Yeah. What's going on?
But yeah, so Gary hops on this horse to leave. Right about the same time, we see Ted comes outside. He grabs a rifle, heads out into the woods. Dolly walks in on Kathy, and this is another really, really hard scene to get through because of how bad the acting is, especially on Kathy's part and the facial expressions. But we kind of have this weird scene where Dolly comes in and is telling her mom, like, I don't want you to come into my mind. And then they kind of it seems like they have this like war of the minds.
Dude, that's right. Like she's like, I want you to come into my mind. And then Kathy just blankly stares at her like she does in every scene. And then she's like, then like it shows Dolly like struggling, like, no, stop it. And it's like, yeah, exactly. It's like, are they fucking psychically battling right now? Is that what's happening?
Because then it looks like for a second Dolly gets into her head,
right?
And then at the end they just end up hugging, and Kathy apologizes. But it's a really painful scene to watch because of how bad Kathy's acting is and her facial expressions, and it's just like, it's stupefying.
I love that they're just like, they have this psychic battle with each other, and then just like,
and it's not explained.
I guess we'll just leave it. My bad.
Yeah, it's really, really bad.
It's so fucking bizarre, dude. And you're right, dude. Like, this is probably, even though it's sort of like one of the more interesting things, because you're just like, what is the storyline you're trying to explore here?
Right.
It's the abysmal acting just like sucks dry any energy out of this scene.
Totally.
You know what I mean? It's fucking whack.
Because then after that, Dolly goes looking for Ted's. We have
you have a shot of Gary coming back on.
Right. That's what I'm saying. It's fucking ridiculous.
It's so ridiculous.
And then, so now with Dolly walking through the woods, this is where we get more of these really fucking awful filters where it shows her walking through the woods, and we get these really weird, there's like some red ones and then some blue ones. And they just, it happens whenever you're looking at like through the eyes of the killer.
It was like, when did Predator come out? Because it looks like somebody watched that movie and was like, how do we make it look kind of like how Predator was looking?
I'm pretty sure Predator came out in 87, but I could be wrong.
That'd be funny if that was the attempt. I do think it came out before this movie, but anyway, she goes out, as you were saying, like there's those weird cuts with the color scenes and edits, and basically like doesn't she go out and meet Ted, who's like hiding, or no, because Ted, she goes out looking for Ted. We see Ted at one point. He's sitting by himself. He's crying. Yeah.
And then Dolly gets like approached by, starts getting approached by the killer, and Dolly screams, alerting him. So he goes running after her, and there's more of these obnoxious red and blue fucking filters.
Oh my God, it's so all over this place.
As she screams and runs off, not only does she alert Ted, but she also alerts Gary, who literally just rolled up on horseback.
Yeah.
Like, great timing, dude. He grabs he grabs an axe, and he runs off into the woods too, looking for them.
Well, and this is like one of the rare, if not like the only time, I think, that the samurai says something. It goes like, it tells her to come to me.
Right. And but it's like, and this happens later in the movie where whenever the samurai speaks, and whether if it's speaking, actually speaking, or if it's like telepathically speaking, it uses this weird, it's like you can barely understand what it's saying because they use this weird like gargled filter.
Yeah, it's a weird audio filter.
It's like, you can barely, because they try to do more of that later, and I think maybe when some of that later is happening, they're kind of trying to explain what's going on, but you can't fucking understand what it's saying.
No,
but
it's bizarre.
It does try to get it to come to me, but she doesn't, and so long story short, the three of them meet up, and right as they're meeting up, the killer starts to approach. And there's more of those fucking filters, because I can't overstate how it just kind of, like you mentioned just a few minutes ago about how the bad acting like takes away from the movie. So do these filters, because So the killer,
and it's strange, just really like, because it's like it happens a couple of times earlier, but then this like last chunk of the movie just gets saturated,
blasted with them. Yeah,
it's fucking obnoxious.
So Ted's in front of them with the gun. Dolly and Gary are kind of behind him. Gary tells Ted to shoot the son of a bitch.
Yeah, shoot the son of a bitch.
But he hesitates. Gary grabs the rifle as Dolly runs off again, and as like Gary's going to shoot, the killer's just gone.
Yeah.
So they go meet back up and console Dolly, and this is like, well, I forgot to mention this earlier, but I kept it. I kept like a loose tally. This is like the 6th or 7th time in the movie that a character is consoling Dolly. Because they meet up with her, they find her again. It's like I said, it happens a lot. And then they're kind of like crouched and tucked beneath like a log. Yeah. To where you can't really be seen. And they start hearing the crunching of leaves nearby. You also see the glowing blue again.
Oh my god, dude! The it's like it shows like these shots of like somebody walking or something, and it like the atmosphere goes from like red to blue to red to blue, and or something. It's weird, man.
Yeah. So the samurai gets closer, and we get this great scene where I don't think that they meant it to be funny, but I thought it was funny, where the killer gets closer. Gary jumps up and swings with the axe, and like he hits it, and then the set of armor and the sword just crumple to the ground. Like there was no one in the suit, which is a kind of a cool concept, but I just thought it was kind of comical.
Yeah, I did too. I thought it was really funny, and you know, Gary like at one point like tries to like poke it with his foot, like
it's gonna pop alive or something.
It's
yeah,
like what the fuck is this?
Dolly, after that happens, Dolly has this line where she's like, "Mom was right," or whatever.
Which is like, again, you're just sort of like, okay,
right? Like, what? Please tell me, what was she right about? Because I really like to know.
Oh yeah, that scene where Kathy pulled Dolly aside and told her that there's like a samurai ghost in the house. It's a deleted scene.
Yeah. Oh my god! But then we follow up and we finally get like a full shot of this painting that Kathy has been working on.
Yeah.
And it's a shot of the samurai. So the three return back with the armor, and Sarah's kind of looking on from the upstairs window. So it's another one of those scenes where it's kind of like, you know, trying to make Sarah maybe look a little weird or suspicious.
Yeah, it does. It like makes her, you know, because you've had these weird interactions between like scenes with her and the samurai stuff already. You're just like, okay, what is she looking at and stuff? Like, what is she so intent on there? But you know, like Gary brings the samurai armor into the house with Ted and with Dolly, and they go right to Kathy, you know, trying to be like, you know, we've opened the door here to your studio. We've done it. We got the fucking samurai or whatever.
His words are, "We've stopped the maniac." Yeah.
and like I can't remember. I Kathy pops out for a moment. Says something like "burn it" or whatever.
Yep. She says "burn it." she says, "Burn it quickly. It's evil."
Yeah. And then, for perhaps the 8th time, as you mentioned earlier, we have a shot of Dolly in bed, Ted consoling her, and Dolly going, "Mom's right. Burn it."
And of course, I love it because,
ridiculous. I'm like, when did she have time to get in bed under the covers all tucked in all of a sudden?
No shit. But yeah, they're telling him to burn it, and Gary is like, Gary says, well, we need to bring it to the police first.
Yeah, he's like, I can't burn it.
Yeah, and he says we need to bring it to the police, and sets it down. And then we follow up with Sarah now, who's upstairs, and it sounds like she's maybe hearing voices.
Yeah, like it's just like you can't really tell necessarily. It's just like kind of whispers and stuff,
Yeah, she walks over to like a
it's like a
drawer.
It's a table with like a trophy with a bunch of trophies on it.
Yeah. She picks up like a sculpture of some sort, and underneath it there's it's like a picture of a childhood picture of a girl. And this is another scene here where I feel like they left something out. Mm-hmm. And where I'm thinking, especially with where the end of the movie goes, where I don't want to ruin what happens left, but I think that maybe like Sarah's like reincarnated or from someone that Kathy knew from the past, or maybe they were friends in the past or were related or whatever, because she just finds this picture and for some reason she doesn't explain. She doesn't like the picture, and we see that Sarah has powers too, because she her hand starts twitching.
Yeah, it's her. She like holds her hand above the picture.
It's kind of like like you said, like Vader trying to force choke someone, but with their hand turned the opposite way. But yeah. She starts the picture on fire right as Ted comes in.
Oh my God, one of my favorite shots of Ted in the whole movie. He comes bursting in, and he just has this wild look on his eyes. And it just shows his face for just long enough for me to like fucking turn into humor. It's just like, oh my, Ted, wipe that smirk off your face. But then,
his wide-eyed look is hilarious, and it happens even more when he's like in a second here when he's in this like frozen state.
Oh my God, dude. Yeah, because like you said, he sees Sarah like burning this photo with like some random pyrokinesis or something like that, and like and then like he like it's kind of gets close. He gets closer to her or whatever, and then like she like turns on him with her powers.
Yeah.
And like she has her hands are like glowing blue now, and then like all of a sudden he's absorbed in this glowing blue, and he's like frozen.
Yeah.
It's fucking bizarre and crazy.
Yeah. And then like eventually she does that for a second, and then when it stops, he gets like
shot across the room.
Like blasted backwards.
Yeah.
Like blasts into the door and falls unconscious, and so then we see Gary's going back to the horse. Kathy hears these weird sounds. She approaches she opens a door to another room downstairs and says, this is what I'm saying, where they never explain, but there's something from the past between her and Sarah, because she walks in and she goes, so it is you.
Oh my God. I love it. Yeah. Exactly. And like it's like, so it is you. And then there's this like I don't know, brief mention of like something like the samurai says like, yes, sister. I had the captions on.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Okay.
And so it's like, you're like, okay, so those two are tied together, but you have this amazingly hilarious shot of, I presume, the actress of Sarah.
Yeah. Yeah.
In like full fucking like kabuki makeup or whatever.
Yeah.
Like just like it's so appalling. It's so fucking hilarious. It's so bad. And it's just and then you like it gets like all geared up in the samurai armor, right?
Yeah. Yep. And then we get something even by this movie. It is weird, but this is where and this only happens during this scene, and it, as if some of the other stuff in this movie was baffling enough. We get these random, and they're like, they must have been stock shots from like a war movie or some like political thing, but we get all these stock shots of like some type of war. We see like shots of fighter pilots. We see shots of like people marching down the street and like a politician. It just makes no sense at all.
It led me to believe those like we were talking about, like you were mentioning, kind of alluding to earlier, like there had to have been some sort of like meta commentary that they were trying to pull with this.
Totally.
That just doesn't fucking
But what does that have to do with anything samurai? Like it just does not. Anyway, it's so weird. Sarah like unsheaths her sword, and Kathy is once again, I hate to repeat myself, but awful acting. She's like, you can't destroy me. It's like one of the worst delivered lines I think I've ever heard in all cinema.
She like you said, like she unsheaths the samurai, unsheaths the sword, throws it at Kathy. Kathy like catches it, throws it down, and just like says that line terribly, and then like you're just It's just so bad, dude. Like she just like sucks every. She does. Scene.
It makes me angry. You know how sometimes there's a movie where it's usually comedy movies, but there's movies where there's that character in the movie that is always doing something really fucking stupid and it pisses you off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is the character.
Yeah. But it's not that she's doing. It's not that she's doing stupid stuff, but that she's a terrible fucking actress, and so it just pisses me off.
Exactly. It's fucking bizarre. And so the samurai starts chasing Kathy throughout the house. You have the shot of Gary out by the horse, like all of a sudden in like staggering pain as he's like, like his head, like I don't know, his head's like getting fucking attacked. He's getting psychically attacked or something.
Yeah, that's you said he starts like he's about to hop on the horse.
Yeah.
But he starts getting, it's like a migraine times 20. He's grabbing his head.
Yeah.
Sarah, as the samurai now, bursts into, because Kathy had like tried to lock herself in her painting room. She bursts in, and then this is what I'm talking about. Where if you had the subtitles on, which I didn't, like it starts mumbling all this shit, but I can't understand a fucking word that she's saying.
No, it's like, I don't even know if it captured some of the subtitles, captured some of it, but like literally I think some of it just said like mystical mumbling or something like that. Okay. So, you know what I mean? Like, which I thought was really funny, but like Kathy's like fighting back down the samurai at this point with her like red glowing hands and shit. Yeah. She starts. Yeah. The samurai like falls down at one point, and Gary's like headache subsides for a second. And Ted also wakes up too. We see Gary get back into the house. He goes to draw the knife, but then like his headache comes back. And then this is another kind of cool shot because he stumbles down, and then all of a sudden there's a samurai sword in his stomach. Yeah, dude, it's like it's actually pretty cool. It was just because of that, like I didn't see that happening right there, like boom.
Yeah. Because it shows him, and then the very next shot, it shows the samurai again, like unsheathing its sword. So it's like, how many can it just like have this unlimited amount of swords? Like it never, like what are its actual? So Gary, it's interesting.
It never fully explains it, but
it doesn't. It
never does.
But he's dead.
Yeah, he gets skewered, man. And then it shows like Kathy, dude, like it shows Kathy with this weird fucking,
like she gets stabbed too.
Well, but it shows her like face out and it looks like she's like frozen or something afterward.
Right, I don't know what they were doing with that.
It was so strange. It was kind of cool makeup, but you're also just like, what the fuck?
I thought that maybe either it was supposed to imply that she was frozen, or maybe that she like aged a lot or something. But it's just kind of weird. It's like really awful makeup because it's short. It just kind of looks scaly and white and weird.
Yeah, it's bizarre.
In a matter of 10 seconds, Gary and Kathy are dead.
Yeah.
Ted comes in the room, sees the samurai, and is like, has a great wide-eyed shot again. then Dolly walks in, and then we get like, where like you said, where it doesn't explain it, but it's like obviously this whole family has some form of powers because Ted and Dolly both start doing the same thing that Sarah was doing earlier, and they're raising their hands are glowing.
They're
They
shaking.
they link up and kind of Captain Planet-esque with their powers combined.
Yes, dude, they totally did. These fucking Planeteers linked their powers, and it's like glow versus glow. They fight this fucking samurai.
It's so bad. It's
and
bad.
then there's this wild shot. So they get rid. They somehow take out the samurai, but there's a shot where it shows the outside of the house.
Yeah.
A storm in the air now, and the house is like glowing, and there's red glows in the house and shit. And it's like, and it looks like they were like ripping off like a Poltergeist shot.
Totally.
Which is kind of the same thing earlier in the movie, and so you're just sort of like, there's definitely some influences here. They're going for something, but then. Yeah, dude, like they just like make the fucking samurai like explode and disappear or whatever. Dissipates
or disappears or
yeah. And
then oh my god, yeah.
Dude, the last sequence in this movie. Like I think they just ran out of money or something. And like did you notice how drastically different quality it was?
Yeah. Like the cut where it shows them walking and then it cuts to a different angle.
It's shot on like a home camera at the time or something. You know what I mean?
It's bad. It's really weird. It's jarring.
It is, and it's so fucking weird. It's just like that's the last shot of the movie. It's just them walking away from the house, like Dolly.
What's even weirder than that, though, is it shows them walking. It does that cut to a lower quality, and then it does this weird shot where it zooms in on the tree, and then it pans up to higher on the tree, and then it just ends. Where I thought they were going to do something where it like pans up to the top of the tree, and the samurai is hanging up on the tree, but they don't do that. It's just there's just a shot of a tree.
Yeah, they don't do dick all. It's just like fucking hell, dude. This movie just gives
awful.
It gives you no explanation. It moves at a horrible pace. Like there's just like some cool, like glowy, fun elements with the samurai at first, but then it just becomes like, oh my god, what the fuck is this movie about? Like
it's like I said, it's exhausting to get through.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be honest here and say something that is a little crazy, but I would honestly, and I think most of this is due to how bad Kathy's acting is and how I wanted to jump through the screen and backhand her. I would rather watch Sledgehammer over this any day of the week.
Ooh, controversial statement. I mean, I think
I could go my whole life without watching Bloodbeat again.
Probably. I probably can too. I'm honestly going to give this movie like 2 out of 2 wide-eyed Ted looks out of 10. Like this movie. This movie's nonsense. Like
I would probably give it 1 flying tab soda knockouts out of 12.
Yes. Still one of my fucking favorite shots of
That's a great shot. Yeah.
Oh my fuck. Yeah, this movie, like it's on Shudder if you corn dogs want to watch it.
If you want to suffer through a shitty movie.
But just be grateful that we did it for you. If otherwise.
Speaking of Shudder, it's like every now and then there's like a movie that will get taken away and get brought back. But they just got like another good haul. Like Halloween 2 is back. Halloween 3 is back. Evil Dead 2. I forget there's a couple other ones that I noticed last night, but I was like, I know what I'm going to be probably watching like when I go to bed tonight. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, for sure. They just, I saw that they got both Evil Dead and Evil Dead 2 on there now. So that's always a fucking juicy watch for me.
Totally.
Hell yeah. Well, like you said near the beginning of the podcast, we're, this marks 5 away from 50.
Totally.
So, before you know it, we're going to be just fucking, we're going to be on another special episode.
Yeah. So, I'm not going to give away what we're doing for 50. It's going to be something cool. It's not going to be another. I think we should wait a little longer before we do another deep retrospective. But episode 50 is going to be a movie that perfectly encapsulates why we wanted to start doing this in the first place.
Oh God, yeah, dude.
I'm so looking forward to it.
It's a chef's kiss.
You know what else is that we still haven't done that we need to do at one point is another literally a movie you would think of when doing a podcast like this that we need to do is Troll 2.
Oh God, yeah. Troll 2 is another one that I feel like we gotta save for a moment because that movie's also just oh my God, dude.
It's like you said, it's chef's kiss.
Yes, indeed. All right. Well, hey, on that note, corn dogs, we'll leave it here. As always, thank you so much for fucking listening. Follow us online. You get the podcast on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube. You know where to find it. But man, yeah, Fitz, this was, if this movie was shit, but it was fucking fun to talk about. I will say
it was. Yeah.
So I think we got a winner on our hands overall.
Totally.
Well, I guess, like I said, we'll leave it there. I hope you corn dogs have a good rest of the day.
Yes, sir.
Good dog.